It's an exciting day in the world of Magic the Gathering, as the official teaser list for the upcoming Brothers War set has just been revealed. We're getting powerful protective magics. We are getting horrific moles. And on top of that, and most interestingly, we are getting a new way to add loyalty counters to Planeswalkers.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well, because we have gathered for an exciting look at the upcoming Brothers War set. Instead of dealing with the bad news and the wild times of the game, we are here for some pure enjoyment. Now, before we do that, I want to let you know I've been told by a number of people that YouTube has recently unsubscribed them from the channel. So if you want to be subscribed, double check that you are so you don't miss out on any of the videos. All right? That out of the way, let's take a look at the teaser list. It is super exciting. The first item on the list has got me mega hyped. The first item is over 10 legendary human artificers. When I read that the first time, I just saw 10 and went, whoa, okay, 10 legendary artificers. Straight out of the gate, Commander players love getting new options. So new legendary creatures is sweet. But on the next level, this is the Brothers War. My favorite set of all time in terms of the flavor behind it, because it's going back to the original Brothers War, which means we're going to get Urza, Mishra, we're going to get Tawnos, we're going to get Ashnod, we're probably getting Lauren, Feldon, Hercule, all of them just slapped in there as artificers, and who knows who else, but Ashnod is the most exciting. Out of all the characters from the Brothers War, with, I mean, obviously the exception is Gix as well, Ashnod is the one human, at least from the Brothers War, who has deserved a legendary card for the longest time. Rusko too, from a fun standpoint. If you know who I'm talking about and you've checked out the stories, Rusko would be fun as a card. I don't think we're going to get him, but Ashnod is truly compelling. She's somewhat villainous, somewhat compassionate, feels like a real individual. The relationship between her and Tawnos is genuinely interesting. It's something I quite enjoy. And if you don't know all about this, I have hours and hours of lore videos explaining the entire backstory of the original Brothers War and the new ongoing Brothers War over on Fantasy Geographic. So if you want to figure out all the different artificers to get excited about along with me, check it out. I'll leave a link at the end of the video and down in the description for you as well. So yes, the 10 legendary human artificers has me super hyped. The next card on the list is another card with End the Turn. Now, End the Turn is a crazy ability, right? It basically says, take everything off the stack, stop. It's literally what it says, just end the turn. You don't even get to resolve whatever you were in the middle of doing. It's like, end the turn. I was eating a simp. Not anymore. Turn's over. So originally, we got that in the form of Time Stop. 6 mana, blue instant. You play it, and it just said, end the turn. And obviously it had a huge, like it was 3 little words and then huge reminder text to tell you what that meant. And it was genuinely an impressive and flooring ability. And when you think about it, not only from a mechanical standpoint is it an impressive ability, but from just a flavor standpoint as well. The ability to control time to that level sounds like something any time mage would want to get their hands on. Why wouldn't Planeswalkers develop this? So we saw other cards that would let you end the turn, but they would be, hey, you can do this only during your own turn. So it's like, okay, this one's to stop your opponent and get it to be your turn. This one is to save you from bad effects on your own turn or to be worked around. So the ability has both kind of contexts to it, and it really does make me wonder where we're going with that, because there are only a handful of cards that have that ability, and depending on how it's utilized, it can be incredibly powerful or incredibly niche. So this could end up like being on some crazy mythic where you go, what were they thinking? Or it could be on some like 11 casting cost weird card where you go, what were they thinking? Or it might find the sweet spot in between where it's whatever. But I don't know, man. When I see that ability, it gets me hyped. After that, we've got a command with X in its mana cost. Now, I mean, commands tend to fall under the range of modal spells a lot of the time with 4 options, right? We harken back to the days of like cryptic command, but you also have people love an austere command, primal command, all these different commands where you get 4 different choices, and it's like pick 2, sometimes pick 3, pick 4. This one is a command with X in its mana cost, so obviously whatever it is that you do are going to be 4 different X options, which makes me feel like it's probably going to be multicolored, to get the right number of modes. That I feel like doing a one color, that actually is really interesting. A single color command with X in it. Like, what would you even do for 4 different X's? If you're doing red, are you going to do like X damage to all creatures, X damage to all players, X damage to all planeswalkers? Oh, never mind. I see I could get there. Okay, with blue, there's ways to do it. So I guess it could work either way. My brain just immediately went to that it has to be multicolored, but you can kind of make it work in either way. That's why I like the teasers. It gives you that imagination fuel where you go, oh, I have so few details. And then you make assumptions and realize, hey, you know what? That might not even be the case. All right, so let's move on to the next item. A spell that mimics an element of the effect of a creature that was originally printed with the picture of a world champion on it. It is such a cryptically worded statement here. So basically what they're saying is there is a card that exists in Magic that has a picture of a world champion in the artwork, and they're taking and they're having something mimic an element of the effect. So this is so crazy. So first of all, you have to narrow the list of cards down to only cards that were printed with pictures of a world champion on it. Then you have to take the effect of the right card and just take an element of that effect and mimic it. This feels like it's so cryptic that it's meaningless, because it's like, okay, what are the cards on the list? What element are, like, it's too little, right? The next item is the one that has me really interested. It says, a Teferi with a new way to gain loyalty counters, which makes me very curious. What way could it be? I mean, we've had sacrifice creature effects and things like that, or creatures going to the graveyard with like the black, who was that one? Was it the Dungeons & Dragons Loth? Honestly, I have a hard time keeping up now. Wizards of the Coast makes so much stuff, and there are so many cards coming along and so many abilities that once upon a time, I felt like I knew everything. So in one way, I feel like there's a bewildering amount of information. But at the same time, it does add, I guess, a level of the journey of discovery back into Magic. Because in the beginning, when I started playing Magic, you couldn't even look online to see what cards there were. It's so crazy to think you go all the way back then when I started, you couldn't even look online, and now you've got me online talking about teasers. This is so weird. Anyways, I guess I should get back to talking about the teasers instead of just getting all nostalgic and crazy here. So, what is the possible way here? I mean, it's Teferi. So, he's going to be white-blue or blue, right? He's not going to be mono-white. He's either going to be white, blue, or blue, in my guessing. And then what kind of abilities would he have that would add loyalty? Sacrificing creatures seems unlikely. Maybe exiling. Maybe exiling things is like a way of sending them through time to Zalfir or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what vibe they're fully going for with the Brothers' War, because the story is still unraveling and we haven't seen the spoilers. And so I just know from the story that Urza and Mishra aren't really in the story at all. We're seeing things surrounding them, side stories, and we're also following Karn and like 15 other planeswalkers that are all assembling. Stuff is getting pretty wild in that regard, but I don't know exactly what's going on in terms of like time control and things like that with Teferi, so I don't know what it's going to be. I could think of something crazy, like I guess you could get crazy with the resources you could sacrifice, right? Maybe sacrificing lands? That'd be out there. I don't know. That one, you know what? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's move on to the next one. Equipment with Equip Soldier. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. It's going to be a piece of equipment that you can use and probably has a normal equipment cost, and then equips for a soldier more cheaply, considering it's Dominaria and what that could be anything, right? That could just literally be a one cost equipment, +1/+1, equip creature for 1, equip soldier for 0. A good soldier needs to be ready to poke. Get the sword and poke 'em, boys. You know, like one of those. The flavor tech needs a little work, but you get what I'm saying. A new Onulet? What? Oh, that's fun. That's fun. The Onulet was this weird little squat ivory creature with like a little ring in its nose and it's a galumping along, galump, galump, galump. Those are in the original story. If you have not checked out the Brothers War story, it's the best story in Magic the Gathering's history. And it follows Urza from when he was a 10-year-old orphan boy up until the end when he ascends to Planeswalkerhood. It's amazing. It's the best story in Magic. You are missing out if you don't check it out. And Onulets are in there glorping around. So get you some, okay? After that, protection from everything returns. Well, it can't be Progenitus, right? They're not going to put Progenitus in the set because he's from Alara. So it can't be Progenitus. They're just giving protection from everything to some other card. Protection from everything is such a fun ability in terms of how ridiculously nonsensical it is. It's like, it's got protection from everything. And it's like, there's still ways to handle it? Yeah, it just doesn't have protection from anything, does it? It's like, well, it has the ability. So, I mean, that's an exciting ability. Let's be real. You read protection from everything, that has actually more of a gut punch than indestructible, right? Like indestructible just says, I can't be destroyed. You can smack me for as much damage as you want. You can play destroy effects on me. You can play cards that destroy all the creatures on the board, but they can still be exiled and whatever else, right? Protection from everything is nutty. It works both for and against the creature. It's like, I'm protected from everything. Fire magic can't hit me. But then it's like, also, you can't pick up this fire-aligned sword. It's like, I can't. My mystical protections won't allow my body to even touch it, right? Like, protection from everything is really fun from a flavor standpoint, but way more fun from a gameplay standpoint. I read that and my brain goes, this is probably another card for my cube, and I am hyped up to find out what it is. After that, a white creature that taps to let you and an opponent draw a card. I hate effects like that. I get there's a bunch of people who like it, and that's fine. I'm not saying it should be like taken out of the game. It's cool, but these like, I draw a card, you draw a card. Like back in the day, people would play Howling Minds and we're all drawing extra cards. And I'm like, no, man, no. I'm not giving you free resources. I don't care. I'm a miser. When we're playing competitive Magic or we're playing, I'm like, no, I ain't giving you free cards even if I get, it's not you get one, I get one. It's you get 0, I get 2. So the only way I could see me using something like this is by playing like Plagiarize and going, I get all your draws this turn, and then taking the draws. So I could see people using it like that. But for me, this type of effect is like the least exciting. And I stopped putting them in the cube because I realized that when I do, it's just a trap for my opponent, I feel like, because I will never play them. So I ultimately find this to be one of the least appealing sort of things. And I have to admit, they haven't gotten me really hyped about white and card draw and stuff. Some of the stuff they've done, Mangara and whatever, pretty hype. But a lot of it has been, wah, right? So moving on to the next item on the list, one colored artifact. What would that be? What's the one colored artifact? Is like Gix's hand? Do they have a new claw of Gix from when his, or should I, yeah, I'm gonna say it, his arm gets chopped off. If you want to know how, check out the story. Is that the one colored artifact? What will it do? I don't know. That'd be cool. I mean, that feels like a good choice, right? After that, we've got some rules text that will be showing up on cards. Create a tapped Power Stone token for each other creature you control. So this is a creature, when it comes into play, makes a Power Stone for every other creature you have out, which, I mean, the Power Stones tap for a mana. They can't be used to cast non-artifact spells, but they can be used to activate artifacts and do other things with, so this could be potentially very powerful, right? Then you've got put a +1/+1 counter on target assembly worker you control. The assembly worker stuff is a theme that ties all the way back to the earliest days of animate your factory for 1 mana, turn it into a 2/2 assembly worker. You can tap to give it +1/+1 to end a turn. And so we've seen multiple cards that reference this assembly worker. So more and more assembly worker has become a mini tribal concept. Not a powerful one by any means, but at least one you can like feed into flavorfully. And there are people out there who just build and play for that, which is great. All right, what's next? Whenever one or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control. Draw a card, scry 1. I'm guessing white, draw a card, right? We've seen it with Welcoming Vampire. We've seen this as a repeating effect in white, caring about white weenies and small creatures like that. So that's my guess. The next item this is a very powerful ability. Permanents you control have ward, sacrifice a permanent. So if your opponents want to target your stuff, they have to sacrifice permanents. Obviously, the power level, this is going to be based on the card it's put on, but still, this is an eye-catching effect where you go, yeah, I'm down with this 100%. I want to see what this is going to be. After that, whenever you cast an artifact spell with mana value 6 or greater, that can be anything, gain 5 life, draw a card, put a counter on this, hug your mother. I'm guessing it's probably not that last one. For each card type among non-creature spells you've cast this turn. That's an interesting ability. So, for like instant, sorcery, artifact, all that stuff, for each different one, do this. So maybe it'll be like, for each card type among non-creature spells you've cast this turn, return a card from your graveyard. So it's a big green spell that's like Nature's Rebirth or whatever, Titania's Revenge. She ain't happy about what happens to Argoth, you know? It's rough. She gets a raw deal. After that, we have create a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token. I imagine this has to do with Ashnod, considering she makes transmogrants. Oh, what she does to humans is horrific. It's just monstrous. Transmogrants are these waxy, basically like almost melting people that can just mule and whimper, and like they can't talk to you. People can't recognize who they were, but they at one point they were people. Just awful. Just awful. After that, you got look at the cards in each pile, then turn a pile of your choice face up. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, take all the creatures in your graveyard, your opponent sorts them into 2 face-down piles, look at the cards in each pile, turn 1 face up, return those creatures to the battlefield. You know what I mean? That's my guess. All right. Then, gain your choice of Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, or Haste. This doesn't super excite me because it's like, well, what's it on? What creature? Is this on one creature? Is this an enchantment that will give it to creatures? I'm guessing it's just this one creature. So, I mean, those are okay abilities. Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, or Haste. But depending on what it's on, Then we've got whenever you cast a bead or a beast or bird. Whenever you pull out your beads, you want to trade some friendship beads? Okay, whenever you cast a beast or bird bead creature spell, I'm guessing, my guess is always draw a card. Draw a card, you know, because it just feels like that's what you do. Draw a card. All right, so let's wrap it up with creature types that are in the set. We have an artifact creature, ape. We have creature, mole. Horror, the horror of the mole. It's growing on your forehead and everybody can see it. Welcome to Dominaria. Welcome to the horrors of the brothers mole. Okay. All right, then we've got Phyrexian Worm. That's an artifact creature. Oh. Then we've got Phyrexian Human Assassin. Is that a sleeper agent? Minotaur Barbarian. Elf Druid Soldier. Human Artificer Scout. Human Wizard Advisor. Elf Druid Scout. Human Artificer Advisor. I have to admit that near the end there, those creature types, it's like, okay, there's scouts and humans, and you're going to get excited that there's a human advisor. Maybe if you know the creature, like, maybe it's this guy. But for me, the creature types, unless it's like, horror mole, don't really get me that jazzed up. I want to see the card as a whole before I can get psyched about non-mole cards. All right? That wraps up the teasers. Thanks for coming by, my friends. Go ahead and check out the Brothers War lore, both new and old. I've released some new today. There'll be more tomorrow. We're going to keep doing it all week. And tonight, there will be a live stream on my other channel. Come on by and hang out. Thanks for being here, my friends. See you next time. Big shout out to all my patrons for being the best people on the planet.